Connie with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I am so glad you could stop by for another flashcard mashup. Hey, let's get started on some Valentine cards, shall we? It's coming up. Today's card is it's kind of a nice little fun fold. Isn't that a nice one, guys? So easy to do when you start with flashcards. So let's get started on our card today. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the cardstock we need to create today's Valentine. Guys, I have got a piece of powder pink cardstock. I have this cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and the scoring on this is 1 inch and 4 1/4. I also have my 2 flashcard pieces. Remember, this is a mashup. So I have my original flashcard that's in Whisper White, 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And then my flashcard 2.0 is in Real Red, and that is 2 1/8 inch by 5.5 inches. And then lastly, I've got 16 inches of our white sheer ribbon. The stamp set I'm going to use today is Bloomin' Love. What a fabulous stamp set. It's got a lot of really nice detail. And this one also has a set of matching framelits. We have a wonderful, great big heart, but you know what? Today, guys, we're just going to be using these 2 little flowers. We need to do a little bit of prep work to our flashcard pieces. I'm going to start with that Real Red, and I am simply going to cut this down to 1 inch. So this will be 1 inch and 1 1/8 inch. And then on my Whisper White, I'm going to cut this down into a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. So this will be my focal image. I'll cut my flowers out of this piece. Let's begin by doing our stamping. I'm going to take the powder pink ink pad, and I'm going to come in with that big, wonderful little heart with all these great flowers in it. We're going to stamp this right in the middle of our 2.5 by 2.5 white cardstock. I'm now going to come in with a Real Red ink pad, and we are going to stamp these 2 little flowers. Now, before I stamp, I want you to notice there is a little point on both of these. Those are important because that's going to help us line up the framelit. So when I stamp these, I want to make sure I know exactly what direction that point's going. So I'm going to keep that up and down. I'm going to stamp 2 of the large flowers. And with that point, paying attention to it, I'm going to stamp 2 of the smaller flowers. While I've got my Real Red ink pad out, let's come in with the My Valentine, and I'm just going to stamp that at an angle right there in the middle of that pink heart. Isn't that awesome? I'm going to go ahead and come in with my card base, and I want you to notice that I just kind of accordion folded back that 1 inch area. And now I'm going to come in with this kind of a border. I'm going to stamp those flowers right there in the middle of that little 1 inch flap. I'm now going to rotate that stamp so it's going in the opposite direction, and I'm going to stamp those that same little border, stamp it right here on the side. And I'm going to repeat that on the opposite side. I'm now ready to do some big shot work. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do some embossing on my 2 strips of Real Red cardstock. I have the Layering Leaves embossing folder, and this is one of our dynamic embossing folders. So remember, this one only needs the 1 top cutting plate. I'm going to run that through the big shot. So now to do the flowers, remember I told you about that little arrow. Can you see here on the framelit, there's a little arrow. So that's going to help us line up our framelits perfectly on these flowers. And I'm going to give you a little tip. When you're lining it up, there is a white dot right there in the center. Use that to your advantage. So what you can do is as you're lining that up, this is going to hold true for both the big framelit and the smaller one in this, but you're going to want to line up that so that you see white in the circle. When you've got that set, we're going to run those through the big shot to cut out all 4. I have adhered down, that is my 1 inch piece, and this is my 1 1/8 inch piece of that embossed cardstock. I've got that. Now let's come in with our focal image, and we want to add these flowers. So easy to do, and I'm personally just a big fan of glue dots. I find them to be so easy, and I don't have to worry about adhesive going everywhere. So I'm going to add a large one at the top, a large one here at the bottom, and then I can come in with the smaller ones, the 2 smaller ones, and we can just kind of fill in. I simply want to adhere this to this flap right here. So I'm actually going to add this right down the center of my sentiment. I think that's going to be easiest. And then we can just adhere this so that it's centered from side to side Line that up when you're happy with it. Give that a press. That looks nice, but how about we doll up the inside just a little bit? In this stamp set, this is a single stamp. This heart, and it's in the air. Love, it's in the air, but I really wanted that heart. Let me show you what I did. I hope that you can see this here. So here's the photopolymer stamp, and what I did is I cut that heart off. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? But you notice it's a little choppy, it's a little ugly, but I'm leaving it that way because when I want this to go together, it's just like putting a puzzle together. It's gonna fit in there, and I know I've got a perfectly laid stamp, but because I just want that heart today, it's going to allow me to use that heart separately. So in this set, we have Be Mine. I'm just going to stamp that here in the top area of my card. And now I can come in with just that heart and just bring that right there. Be Mine. Look at that. Is that just not a cute card? Oh, wait a minute. It's missing something. Of course, it's Connie. It needs bling. I'm going to take our rhinestones, and I'm going to take the larger ones, and we're going to cover up that hole because I really don't like that hole. We're going to cover up with the larger ones here. See, that little bit of bling, it just makes it. Now let's come in with these smaller ones. We'll come in over our little small flowers. Yes, those rhinestones really made it cute, but you know, I wanted to bring in a little bit of ribbon. I wanted a little more burst of that white. I'm gonna come in with a 1/2-inch circle punch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up inside this red strip, and I just want to nip a little half circle. And by lining this up in the strip, that's going to ensure that my ribbon is centered. And it's also going to kind of hold it in place. So I love to make these little nips when I'm tying or attaching ribbon. Now I'm just going to tie this here on the side, and I like to just tie mine in a knot. I just think it's going to lay really nice. Guys, I just think that is an absolutely sweet Valentine card. I hope that you enjoyed today's card. I tell you, I just love that little trifold, and it was so great to be able to use my Flashcard 2.0 pieces to add that burst of color on today's card. Super easy to do, and I hope you guys will give it a try. Now, if you'd like to see all the measurements or possibly the supplies that I use to create the card, head over to simplysimplestamping.com. Just look for the January 24th, 2018 blog post. I will have everything there. Like I said, your measurements, the supply list. If you would like to order any of the supplies that you need, I've made it easy. Click a pick. You'll go right to the online store and you'll be able to order what you need. Now, hey, if you love the idea of flashcards, but you don't want to do all the cutting, how about this? Flashcards to go. This is where I have everything cut and scored, ready for you so that you can get to the fun part, the creating part. You'll have the envelopes as well, so everything that you need to create 40 cards in a flash. If you'll head over to simplysimplestamping.com, just look in the menu bar to flashcards to go. You'll see everything that you need to be able to get your hands on those as well. Well, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the card, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.